Ukiah, and welcome to Word on the Street. I'm your host, Jason, and our guest today, while not homeless this week, was homeless for a while, and he's recently gotten inside, which is, a big goal for a lot of the people on my show. He's got a big story to tell us, all kinds of interesting stuff. Never a dull moment here at Word on the Street. It's Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. Welcome to the show. And Justin, thank you so much for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Interesting meeting you.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in your story. Before we get to age 17, which is where really big things happened, let's begin with your childhood. What was it like the first 10 years of your life? Where did you grow up, and what was your family like?
First 10 years?
Yeah, first 10 years.
Mom and Dad got married when I was 3. Dad was in the Army. We moved around a lot. Excuse me. Had a different school every year for the next 8 years. At 11, they divorced, split custody, so I bounced back and forth between the two of them, different states every time.
Whereabouts?
Predominantly South Dakota, New Mexico, and Wyoming. But I lived just about it. I think I've lived in every state except 11 of the 13 colonies.
Really?
Yep.
And what was your favorite state?
Personally, I like Alaska.
Alaska. How about moving every single year? Was that hard on the little 5-year-old or 7 or 8 or 10-year-old that you were? Or was it just you got used to it after a while?
Well, in the beginning, we stayed for 3 years. So I did my first, second, and third grade in one spot.
Sure.
After that, it was every year. And it was all I knew, so wasn't really hard or not hard. It was just what it was.
Yeah.
Fell behind in some of my grades. I repeated a couple grades because of the moving, but I don't really remember or think there was much negative outcome to it.
Yeah. So, it seems like it was all right. It seems like it was reasonable. Mom and Dad moving around.
Childhood was good. It was decent. It was, I had a strict father, decent, good man. Mom, perfect woman.
Yeah.
Love them both. Don't want to live with either one of them right now, though.
But you talk to them?
I don't talk to my dad very much. I don't know where he's at, but I talk to my mom every chance I can. So.
Yeah. So, somewhere between age and 10 and 15, something happened. Things changed. You're
1989. When I was 11, I stole my first vehicle.
When you were 11.
With 2 of my other friends. We didn't really steal it. The keys were in it.
Sure.
So we just took it for a joyride. Got about 4 miles before the cops were on to us and pulled over, took us home.
Right.
Didn't even go to juvenile hall for it. Just took us home. That was fun. That's all it took. It was fun, and I took off running. I enjoyed stealing cars.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So what was the next thing that happened?
In what
in stealing cars, going down that road.
I moved up to Wyoming with my father, and he needed a lot of money for parts for his truck or something so he could get back and forth to work. And he said, "Come on, boy." We went, got a car, and took it to a chop shop.
Your dad and you?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
That's how he taught me how to, first, when you steal a car, check the fuel. Because the first truck we stole in '89 only had like,
Yeah, it was on empty.
it was on fumes.
Yeah.
We weren't tripping.
Yeah.
But that was that, and then after that, that's what I did to pass the time. When I got bored, I ran away a lot. No reason, just I get bored. I get bored in my room. It'd be dark, everybody'd be asleep, 2 o'clock in the morning. Bye. I'm bored, I'm going outside. I just keep walking until I find something to do.
14 years old, 13 years old, you're talking?
13, 14, 15.
And you just walk around until you've met people, or?
No, until I found a car I could steal
Oh, okay.
and drive around and
Yeah.
go sell, get money, and buy toys,
Yeah.
cool stuff, skateboards.
What kind of cars did you steal when you were 13, 14 years old? Big, like expensive ones, medium ones, or junkers, or everything, or in between?
In the beginning, before I started selling them to chop shops and stuff, it was just any car that had the keys in it. Didn't matter what it was. I didn't care. It wasn't my car.
Sure.
It was insured for them people, I hope. Win-win. I have fun, they get a new car. That they don't have to pay much for.
Yeah.
So I thought, it was not all bad. So I mean, it just kept going until it did get bad. And when it got bad, it got real bad, quick. I started with computers in '94. One of my friends was teaching me the things that he had already known and was about to forget, pretty much, you know what I mean? And we were doing, you know, bank hacking and stuff like that, and got busted, ended up taking off on the run in a stolen car. And as a direct result of that, I ended up passing through California, exchanged a few gunshots with the CHP. They sent me to prison. I was 17.
17. So things got really bad really fast. Bank hacking, stolen.
I was 17, but I was only 6 weeks from my 18th birthday, so.
Okay.
You know, they just drug it out, and then once I was 18, they sentenced me to prison.
I guess that's how it works. It's not about the day that you did the crime, it's about the day that you were in court later. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, the day you did the crime is what counts. It's just where they can put you at that time.
Right.
Just because I did it when I was 17, they could have put my ass in they could have put me in CYA, California Youth Authority. But I was 18 and I opted for adult incarceration.
You opted?
Yeah, he gave me the judge gave me the opportunity to decide whether I wanted to go to youth authority or state prison, because California Youth Authority you can go to 25, I believe. Or you can be sentenced there up until you're 25. So
why did you make that decision?
Mostly just because most of the men in my county jail said that that would be the better choice, that prison was better than youth authority if you had the opportunity to choose.
Why? What makes it better? I mean, that goes against my intuition, it
Well,
seems like.
I mean, I guess, I mean, I've never been there, but I've only heard stories.
Right.
And, it's a lot more juvenile violence, I guess, in the youth authority, whereas in prison, you're starting to grow out of the juvenile violence and get more into a respect issue and, you know, discipline, structured way, you know what I mean? It's not as chaotic.
So the facility itself is more structured and the people are more mature?
Basically, yeah.
Seems to make sense. So I want to go through this a little bit, this bank hacking.
It's just some program he wrote that in 1994 banks didn't have really good firewalls and all that crap. I mean, they were easy to hack into, and what he was doing and teaching me was just transferring a certain amount from an account to another account, but doing that to all the accounts in one bank. Take 2 cents off of Jane Doe's account.
Okay, sure.
Would you miss 2 cents off your account?
Right, nope, certainly wouldn't.
Would you even notice it on your bank statement?
I would, because sometimes I read them. But what would it say on the line of 2 cents? What would it be written there? Would it be like, you know?
You'd get your bank statement and it would say 1902. And then the next month you'd get it. You didn't spend no money, but it'd be $19.
But it would have, see, today, these days,
It would be.
it's all itemized.
It would be a card deduction, ATM deduction.
Yeah. You'd have a label for it then.
Right. If we took it out of your checking account, it was a check deduction.
Sure.
You know,
And so you'd be like,
the last check you wrote, the store charged you 2 cents.
right. So how long did you do that?
3 months.
How much money did you make?
We had 3 separate accounts. The lowest one had 200 plus thousand, and the highest one had 700 plus thousand. But we couldn't access the money right away because it couldn't just appear in another bank somewhere. It had to filter in. Okay, it had to basically create an entire account ghostly. I mean, it had to be done in the shadows and then just kind of fade in. Because if it just showed up, people would notice it. I mean,
Yeah.
especially a bank manager. When the hell did I get that new account with $700,000 in it?
Right.
Now, that's going to blow his mind. So the 2 cents coming out of theirs had to work towards ours too, you know what I mean? So it had
Yeah.
we had to have deposits without any deposits being made because it was all electronic money.
Yeah.
It didn't exist.
Right.
It's just what some computer told us we had on a card.
So you couldn't just go to the,
Well, we could, but every day there was more money in it. At first it took 3 weeks to get $30 in it. But once it had $30 in it, the next day it would have $90. And then the day after that it'd have $300. I mean, so, and somehow we screwed up. Basically, just like every other criminal, we got greedy. We should have stopped when we had 2 accounts. But no, it was so easy and so fun. And why not make a third? And where we screwed up is we put it into a bank across state line. Boom, makes it federal. That's why we had the feds on us. But they're happy, we're happy.
now.
They just wanted the program and the money back. So we gave them the program and the money back. Oh, and they got California to drop the attempted murder charges to assault with deadly weapon.
Before we skip that far ahead, you got greedy, you've got 3 accounts, and one day you get a knock at your door?
No, while we're working on it, we realized we tripped an alarm at the bank.
How did you realize that you tripped an alarm?
Because it shut, because it shut the account down. And
Okay.
it shouldn't have done that.
So you're there and all of a sudden it's like you can't get in.
I'm in and then all of a sudden it locks up. I'm like, uh-oh. Somebody's onto us. Because now the cursor's doing something that we're not typing in. Somebody else is on the other end typing stuff in, trying to correct what's going on. He's seen activity.
So you know that there's another human over there at a keyboard.
We didn't cloak it.
Yeah.
And he saw it. Our camouflage didn't work.
So he's sitting there at the bank on a terminal and he's seeing things moving around. He's seeing your mouse clicks.
He could have seen nothing more than
Numbers change.
when the number goes from 1902 to 19 .00.
Yeah.
It's just that movement might have caught his eye, and he watched for a minute and seen it do it to another one. And he's going to be like, okay, why is it doing that? Why is my computer glitching on me? This is my computer,
my bank.
my butt.
Yeah. So this guy, I want to have him sitting right here right now to tell his side of the story.
I don't want to meet him.
No?
He stole my money.
He stole your stolen money?
Hey, I worked hard for that.
So you notice that you're locked out, and then what do? Get in your car and drive away, or pack up your computers, or?
You don't pack nothing. You just scream, busted. Grab the computer. Don't need the monitor. Just grab the computer because it's got the hard drive in it.
Yeah.
Throw that in the back seat as you're diving into the front seat, hoping to God he's already got the car started and in gear.
You and your buddy?
We lived in a trailer house behind the houses towards the alley. So we came out of our driveway, drove down the alley, hit the road, took a right, went up to the stop sign. When we stopped at the stop sign, there was 3 state cars, speeding up our street, and then federal cars, like 6 of them, all coming up the other side. We're like, oh damn.
They've been on you for a week or more.
That was quick. We didn't know that.
But they knew for a week at least to put that together, or however long.
Because this is a small town. There's not that many federal officers that occupy that town.
Right.
I mean, so we just barely squeezed out of that. I mean, because
okay, so
they're passing by like that, and as soon as they all went up that way, we hung a right and drove out of town before they could lock it down.
Amazing escape.
Luck of the youth.
So, what happened with all those people, all those cars that were mere seconds away from your house? They were onto you for maybe.
Truth be told, by the time we got to that stop sign, from the time I yelled at him and grabbed the computer and got to that stop sign was probably 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay.
All BS aside.
Sure.
To the best of my remembrance.
Well, I got robbed in Los Angeles and called the police right in the middle of West LA, right on the corner of giant, Lucky stores, right on the corner of this and that, just right down there. And 20 minutes later, they come strolling up.
20 minutes, that's long enough to bleed out.
Well,
luckily that didn't happen.
Nobody got shot, but they were not interested in coming and apprehending.
That's what I mean.
But these guys, 5 to 8 minutes, they must have been sitting there at the bank watching things happen. And they must have had equipment plugged in to find your address, your IP address.
Yeah, they were onto the computer. The guy that we worked with, we didn't work with the feds. All they wanted was the computer program and the damn account codes. That's all they asked us for.
So you had a copy of the program, or you gave them your only copy?
It was in the hard drive. We just gave them the hard drive. Well, it was at the bottom of the lake, but they went and got it. So they got that. They got the money back. The money all went back into the appropriate account.
That was a lot of work for somebody.
But it was also a lot of education for them. Because that was at the beginning of widely used internet, stuff like that. Hacking was kicking off to a roaring fad. So both sides were learning the hacking at the same time. So
are hard drives waterproof? Were they able to? You'll never know.
You are talking to a man who is, at this particular moment, computer illiterate.
You didn't use computers in
Oh no, I wasn't even allowed to use a touch-tone phone for the first 6 years.
Oh, of course. You were a hacker, federal offensive hacker. Wow.
But everything I knew then is absolutely and completely obsolete now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so
oh yeah. Yeah.
I freak out on these things.
Yeah. Are you allowed to use a computer now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, and I do not have one, but
Yeah.
well, actually, I do. I get the phone.
Yeah. Well, you're a natural. I'm sure you'll, as soon as you get yourself a $100 laptop, you'll go right in.
You can get me a laptop that's cheap.
I don't know if I can, but no, it's possible. It's
Because the only
brand new. They're $300, $270, brand new, fresh laptop with 1,000,000 gigs of this and that from Best Buy. And so there's $100 laptops out there in the world. But anyhow. So getting back to your story a little, something went to the bottom of the lake. Somebody left. Somebody found themselves in California. So what happened in California was at the end of this. Like it began when you yelled "busted,"
and that was
like it ended.
It ended April 17th, 2011 or 2010 when I paroled. But it started in South Dakota, and I'm primarily from New Mexico. All my family's there. I was born, basically raised there.
Yeah.
And when we left South Dakota, really had nowhere else to go, so I said, screw it, let's go see my aunt. She needs help anyway. She just had a stroke, all that. So we just zoomed all the way down to New Mexico, leaving a trail of stolen cars behind us, telling the cops right what direction we went in, not even thinking about that. Driving a stolen car till it was out of gas and go steal a new one.
Why didn't you buy gas on your stolen vehicle?
Because we couldn't get the money, because when we had to leave, we were still waiting for the card. Back then, that was when the cards had to be set up by the bank, and the bank told you what your PIN number was.
Right.
And they sent it to you separately.
Right.
We were still waiting on the damn PIN numbers for 2 of the cards.
Wow. You almost got away with a lot.
Almost.
Yeah.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but
you showed them the direction you were going.
Pretty much.
And then showed up at your aunt's.
Showed up at my aunt's, stayed with her and my cousin, my uncle for about a month, maybe a little more. And then just got paranoid, wanderlust, whatever you want to call it. We just had to go. Just wasn't filling the spot no more, so we split. My partner he loves ships. Okay, when we were kids, 15, 16, that was his thing. He liked ships, military ships, personal ships, whatever. But he'd never seen the ocean. I used to live in Hawaii, so it was no big deal to me.
Yeah.
But when we left my aunt's house, we could have went anywhere. So I said, screw it, let's go to the coast. I ain't never been to California, except for San Diego, port. And said, F it, let's go. And that's where we went. We went through Arizona into California down there. Seen the ships in the harbor and did all that because we knew we were going to get caught. We just wasn't going to just let them have us.
You knew you were going to get caught.
Well, yeah. He's 16, I'm 17. Neither one of us got any clues to what the hell we're doing. No plan, no money. Just a disrespect for law and an authority problem. Screw you, this is my time.
Yeah. So you didn't think like, oh, we got to go to Mexico for a year.
Who the hell was thinking about Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah. So then you got to California, and when did it really blow up? Let's hear that story.
I came into California down south. I can't even remember where, it was so long ago. Southernmost point, and we took the coastal highway all the way up until we tried to go east, taking us through Calistoga, Santa Rosa.
You came all the way up the highway, the coastal highway, in one single stolen car?
Yeah, one we stole from Arizona.
Uh-huh. So you got gas money now.
Well, we were hustling / panhandling it out of grocery store parking lots. We'd find those guys that had the literature and the bell and stuff, and trying to get you to give them donations. And we'd, I don't know what you'd call it, basically hang out with him his whole shift, and then carry his books back to his car. And then if he voluntarily gave us money to eat with or whatever, that was cool. We'd leave with what he gave us. And if he didn't, well, my partner had a pistol, I had a shotgun, and we both had coats long enough to cover them, and that's all it usually took, was just a sight.
Yeah.
I mean, then you just get the wallet and gone.
Yeah.
So, just kids being stupid.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Idiots.
Wow. Amazing. Did you ever feel bad robbing somebody?
A couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. What happened to make you feel guilty that time or that couple times?
Just be the individual.
Uh-huh.
Just some old guy, trying to make his ends meet.
Sure.
Something I didn't understand back then.
Yeah.
Making ends meet.
Yeah.
It's a new one on me.
Uh-huh.
And it sucks.
Huh.
I don't like being responsible.
So what happened next? You get up in Calistoga and Santa Rosa?
Yeah, we just got tired of driving along the coast, stopping at night, sleeping on a beach somewhere, or we stole a truck, so sleeping in the truck, whatever. We were getting tired of the hardship. This sucks. I mean, we wanted our beds and mama's, pancakes and
Yeah.
I don't know why we decided to go east. We just did. And I think we were going to try to go to Nevada or something. Just didn't know what the hell we were doing. Just turned east and ended up in Lake County, California. And I guess I swerved or something. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd been up for about 2 days. And this is at a time when I didn't use drugs. I mean, when I was 17 on the run, the only thing I'd done is marijuana maybe 3 times in my life, and a few pills, and a lot of alcohol.
Right.
But I was tapering off the alcohol at that time. So, I mean, being up 3 days like that was wiggy.
Yeah.
And I guess I swerved and caught behind us that I didn't even know was there, turned his lights on, and partner freaked out. We're yelling at each other. I told him, well, shoot the son of a then. So he started shooting at him with a rifle, and it was all bad from there. He wasn't trying to hit the individuals. He was just trying to shoot the engine to stop the car.
Right.
We didn't want the car behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Stop chasing me.
Yeah.
It was a windy road, and I couldn't drive very fast on it. So that's what we did, and then as soon as the car was no longer immediately behind us, we turned down another road, bailed out, ran up into the hills. Had no idea where we were. We're up in the hills for 2.5 days. Finally, we just said, screw it. Unloaded the guns and just started walking. Waited for SWAT to swoop us up, so we gave up.
Yeah.
Pussed out.
Uh-huh.
We were tired.
Were you carrying your rifles? Were you carrying your firearms when you walked out?
I had a lever action hunting rifle, and he had a pistol.
So you guys were armed.
Yes.
And they didn't just, because they just.
Well, that's what I mean. For some reason, I don't know now why, but back then I did, that removing the bullets was important. Okay, you didn't want to let the cops get the gun with the bullets. If they're going to get the gun, don't let them get it with the bullets in it.
Right.
And I didn't know why. I had that drummed into my head by someone for some reason. And at first sight of another human, we dropped the weapons.
Okay.
So, no, we came out of the woods and we were about to walk through a clearing. That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, that don't feel right. So we dropped the rifle, and the pistol was in a pocket, zipped up, not in a hand.
Right.
So
then you walked out into this field.
jumpier and a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Uh-huh.
Started walking across the field, and 20 yards ahead of me, about as far as that camera is, out of nowhere, yep. Where there's one, there's 40.
And that's it. You
That
put
was
your
it.
hands up.
Hands up, and then we're getting tackled and wake up and police department.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, they just shot a guy the other day here in this county. I don't know if you heard about that 6 months ago, or not even that, 4 months ago, this summer. They had a guy that was up in the mountains that was shooting at law enforcement.
Yeah.
And when they hunted him for 30 days, you know, they hunted you guys for 2.5 days. They hunted this guy for 30 days, and he was stealing canned food and beer out of people's. And when they saw him, I think they put 8 bullets in him.
On site.
On site, before he saw them. But he was also walking around with the rifle with his finger ready.
On the trigger?
On the trigger, or next to it. I don't know. That's what they said. And yeah, you might have, sounds like you might
Whether
have.
that's true or not, who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
But that's what they say.
We'll never know. But it sounds like you dodged a bullet that day, perhaps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I look back on it now, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
What part?
The gun, you know, the whole thing, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't regret none of it. That's probably not exactly true. I mean, I regret going to prison for all them years, but that was me back then. I mean, that was what I did. I liked breaking the law, going to whatever detention, and getting out and doing it again. Trying to find a new, better, and quicker way to either get away with them, or get away from them, or get over on them.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Never liked law enforcement.
You ever think about being a repo man?
Absolutely not.
Stealing cars for a living?
Yeah, but then I got to deal with the assholes that come out, you know, and I can't do that.
Yeah, not interested.
Because the first time some dude's yelling at me, or some dude's old lady's yelling at me while I'm trying to take this vehicle from my boss, first time I get spit on, we're all going to jail.
So
I don't deal with people well like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, people coming at you.
Well, not so much coming at it, just verbally I don't have the verbal acuity to just continue arguing with another man. You know, you know what? Shut up and let's get them up.
Yeah.
It's easier, and it gets the point across much more firmly.
Uh-huh. So you're a fighter.
If I have to be. But not necessarily.
Uh-huh. So then you went to prison for 15 years. You're 17 years old, and you go to prison for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, why don't we just jump into that? What was the first year like?
My first week was a bit scary. It was trippy rolling up on San Quentin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big-ass castle looking, you know, stereotypical dungeon prison.
Yeah.
After that, I thought it was a blast for the next 6, 7 years.
How so?
I was a youngster that, with ADD, and all that, I enjoyed the high intensity and the fast pace of that lifestyle, but while having that high speed and all that, it was structured. I mean, it was, at the end of the day, your door's locked, bedtime.
Yeah.
Night-night.
Uh-huh.
And then wake up, doors open, yay, program time. Go out, play, come home, go to sleep. So there was structure, and because of that structure, you know, being so young, it is impressionable, and you do start developing patterns. You acclimate to it, I mean, and you adapt. I mean, and that is a completely, entirely foreign world to out here. I mean, it's, for one, it's all men.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't got to put up with the estrogen problems.
Only have to put up with the testosterone ones.
But on a level where you ain't going to be mad at each other for 3 days.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And not talk to each other. There are no silence games here.
Uh-huh.
If you're that mad at him, duke it out. That's how that world is. You know what I mean? It's just, or if it's not that big, if it's not a big enough deal for you to just handle it, then drop it. Get over it. Move on. Got too much other bull crap going on to let something as minor as that cloud your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. So you're easy to put your fists up. It's not a big issue for you. It's not something that's, you're very used to it. You're accustomed to it. It doesn't bother you. You can get punched in the face, and that's just, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt your feelings forever.
Right. I mean, it's like when we were kids. You ride a skateboard, you fall off, you skin your knee, bust your head open, jump up, shake it off, look at the homeboy like, yeah. Jump back on the skateboard. Do it again.
Uh-huh.
This time try not to hit the same spot you did on the head you did 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was good. The first 6, 7 years, it was good. What was the bad about it? I mean, did you get up in the morning and think, boy, I can't just walk down to the store and get some candy and come home and play video games. My freedom is taken away. I'm behind bars. This is terrible. Did you have a lot of thoughts like that, or were you too young?
I think I was too young, because it's only the first 2 years, my first 2 years in prison were my emotionally punished years, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Those were the years I was feeling the being torn from my family, and I mean, that was the years I missed them the deepest, you know, the hardest, you know what I mean? That was, but that's natural in a sudden change like that, you know what I mean? I didn't know that back then, but after having done it a few times, I've come to understand that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit better anyway.
Yeah.
And but after that, I mean, yeah, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss my family. But it didn't make me emotional when I thought about it. I mean, I didn't cry. After the first 2 years, I wasn't crying every time I talked to Mom on the phone.
Oh, you were crying with your mom on the phone the first couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, so, well, I'm sorry, Mom, I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. So, so that was the bad of it, but then that you just kind of adapted and.
Mm-hmm. And then, kids that young that are in prison, 18-year-old men, boys becoming men, whatever. You grow up fast in there because you're surrounded by nothing but men. And you learn from those men. You learn both positive and negative. I mean, you learn positive things from those men as in how to respect another man. How to confront a man like a man. And a lot of kids in my generation, your generation, whatever, and pretty much every generation, whatever, a lot of boys don't have male influences in their households growing up. And if they end up in prison, suddenly that's all they got is male influences.
And they don't know how to deal.
Well, or they learn how to deal. They look up to this guy, they look up to that guy, so they're going to learn things that guy has and that guy has. And in prison, it's all about honor, integrity, and, strength.
And respect. And strength.
Respect. Uh-huh. But, healthy mind, healthy body.
Let me ask you this. Give me an example of a kid that comes in green and doesn't know, and how he would interact with a man, as a man, incorrectly.
Incorrectly?
And then how later, when he figures something out, he interacts in the similar situation with integrity and respect and all that. Like, tell me the error way, an example, and then an example of the right way.
Easy. One of my very own. I'm a smoker, and when I first went to prison, we were still allowed to smoke in prison. They sold bags of tobacco, and if you didn't have money coming in from the outside, from your family support, whatever, you would have to do other things to make money to have somebody else buy your tobacco for you. Make pruno, do hobbycraft, draw. A lot of people draw cards for, people buy that stuff. And you just trade so many of whatever for whatever you need. And a lot of times you can tell a guy like, hey Ted, you go in the store today, let me get a bag of tobacco and I'll pay you, by Wednesday for it. All right, Justin. Wednesday come around, I ain't got it yet. Start giving him excuses and run down and trying to weasel your way out of it and buy more time. And he's like, okay, he ain't tripping. So you're thinking, because he ain't saying nothing. He's like, all right, just whatever, just get to me. That was $12.
Yeah.
All right. And a younger, naive, or disrespectful brat would run that along as he can. I've done it many times. And what that does is that shows that guy that, okay, your word can't be trusted, and don't ever front you anything. If you ain't got tradables in hand, your ass out. Today, if I give you my word that I'm going to pay you Tuesday, I'm going to try to do every single possible humane thing I can to ensure that you get paid on Tuesday. But I'm not just going to make that promise arbitrarily. I'm going to know what I am capable of producing by Tuesday or Friday.
Right. Right. No dragging it on and
right.
on.
And I wouldn't have known to even think about that when I was younger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll have it Tuesday. What am I going to do Tuesday? I ain't even got a batch of wine up yet.
Right.
Oops. Oh well. Blow it off. It's irresponsible.
Right, right.
I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. And then as you get older, you get better on your responsibilities and get your lumps a couple of times. You don't get spankings. You ain't getting daddy's belt.
What was your first lump? How far in? First year?
Shit, first month.
First month.
I'm an out-of-stater. I'm from out of state.
Yeah.
And terminology is different. There's words that I use at the drop of a hat that you don't do in California. It's like the word punk. Okay, in California, don't call a man a punk. That's one of the most highest and ultimate disrespects. It's like calling a black man
the N-word.
Right. But for some reason, it's just worse for us. You know what I mean? And
you call the guy punk, and
well, where I'm from, punks are what our grandparents called us.
sure.
A punk was a brat, a young hoodlum, a disrespectful, snot-nosed kid who needs daddy's foot put in his ass. I mean, get right. I had no idea. I called my silly a punk, bitch. Sorry.
It's all right.
And he didn't say nothing. He just stood up and brah. I was like, didn't see it coming. So we fought, and he backed off. Said, "Don't you ever say that to me again." Sat down, turned his TV back on. I said, "What did I say?"
Yeah.
I mean, it was so shocking. I forgot the conversation we just had.
Yeah.
I mean, because I didn't mean it. I didn't say it to him in a disrespectful way. But that was, in my mind, in his mind, it was absolute disrespect. And those are things you learn as you get older.
Let's turn a little to this question. This is something that fascinates me because I've never been in prison, and I've only talked to a couple people about the reality of Pruno.
Everybody's reality is different. Everybody's Pruno is different.
How in the world can you have a shampoo bottle in your cell for, 3 weeks brewing up? And then without somebody just walking in the door and being like, okay, shampoo bottles, where are they? All right, there it is. And boom.
That does happen.
Well, I'm sure it does, but how could it not happen?
And whoever the heck is using a shampoo bottle has absolutely no taste. In fact, they do not even have a tongue. Because, as every convict knows, shampoo bottles, no matter how much you wash them, rinse them, or how many years you keep them, never lose the soap taste. Ever. So if you're drinking out of that, you're a hog. But, seriously, on average, you'll probably lose, depending on what institution you're at, how their program is, who your cops are. You know what I mean? Hell, sometimes you just get cops that don't care. They'll find it and leave it there. Or they'll say, hey, cell search, and you'll be like, hey, Masterson, I got a birthday batch under the bed. Let me slide. All right, what are you going to do for me? I'll do your tray pickup. You know what I mean? I'll do your chow time. Why don't you just refuse showers for 3 days? Because the cops have to, escort us to showers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The less work they have to do, the better. Keep them happy, makes us happy. And we get privileges like that. It's same, barter and trade, just like everything else. And we usually use trash bags. not shampoo, bottles. And batches can take anywhere from 3 to 9 days or more, depending on how much you're making, how strong you want it, and what's going on. So, I mean, what else?
So you were good at it.
It was my first cellie in San Quentin. He was an older guy, and he schooled me pretty well, you know, during the time we were cellies. And I walked into his cell, and he looked up at me and goes, I'm looking at him. I put my stuff up on my rack. And we get the introductions out of the way. You know, I asked what what I was in there for, and got all that out of the way. And first drummer, obviously. Do you know your number yet? Yeah, I just memorized it. Your CDC number, your prison number. And I was like, all right. You smoke? Want a cigarette? Yes, please. And you know how to roll? No. Give him a piece of cardboard, can of Bueller tobacco, and 2 or 3 books of rolling papers, and said, start rolling. I just told you I don't know how to roll.
Yeah.
Watch and learn. He rolls 1 cigarette for me, lights it, smokes it himself, and he says,
there you go.
Roll it. And while you're rolling, keep your mouth shut, your ears open. And we stayed in the cell for about 3 days, and that's what we call schooled. He educated me on what was going on and what I was in for. And so,
name a couple things that he went over.
Keeping your word. Don't volunteer for every political or internal thing that goes on, because in prison, the convicts have their own political system inside and around the cops' political system. You know what I mean? So we got our own rules and shit. And there's some things that have to be done by our code. You know what I mean? Like, some prisons don't let sex offenders walk the yard with them. So any sex offender that shows up on the yard, one of the guys that lives on that yard, who is not a sex offender and is trying to make his bones or trying to get initiated into a gang or whatever the case may be. Okay, well, he volunteers, and he's the one that goes to stab the dude.
What does get your bones mean?
They're just... See, layman's terms, it just means you go out and you show everybody else that you're not a coward, that you're...
Credibility, street cred.
Right, that you have the ability to walk up and stab another guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that you're a warrior, you're a soldier. And we respect that. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you got the cojones to just walk up to another man smaller or 3 times bigger than you are yourself and just, start stabbing him, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. You have to respect that. Mm-hmm. On some level.
Agreed. What are the political parties in prison? I've only heard of the blacks and the Mexicans.
Oh, okay, those...
And so I don't really know anything.
Okay, you said political parties. That threw me off. Those are, just races. I mean, just... You got blacks, whites, and then you got Southern Mexicans and Northern Mexicans.
And they're at it. They're at each other.
Not my politics.
Uh-huh.
That's when you get into the politics part. And I think the California prison system is very racially segregated by choice. I mean, I would refuse to live with another race. So after a while, just prison policy became to only house races with their own. It's changing now. But
What about, like, is there bikers and there's
oh yeah, I mean,
gangs and there's punks and there's I know that
there's every street gang you can possibly imagine. A few that you probably wouldn't imagine, never heard of, never will hear of. I mean, there's all kinds of things in there, yeah. Most of which I have no interest in getting into. You know, I mean, that none of my business. But it's all very real and legit. I mean, at least to them.
Did you affiliate?
I am affiliated. I'm a skinhead. And I was racially conscious before I went to prison. So as soon as I hit prison, the prison system, that's who I went to. You know, I mean, those were my mentors. I mean, because they're not a street gang. They're more educational and political rather than street war. I mean, don't get me wrong. We got our idiots too, just like everybody else. But yeah, you got skinheads, bikers, Aryan Brotherhood, BTF. I mean, all the old tales that you've heard, you know, they're all still there.
You know, it's too bad we ran out of time. We've got about 2 minutes left. You've been paroled for about 1.5 years now.
Yes.
And you experienced some severe culture shock coming out.
Oh, indeed.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that in our last minute?
Okay. 15 years in prison. Total time of maybe a week in California. Boom, get paroled. They gave me $200 and then they took 70 of it away from me and put me in Sacramento. I had enough money to catch a bus to Ukiah where my parole region was, but I wanted a phone. I wanted a new cell phone. Spent my bus money on a damn Metro phone so I could call Mom. So I could call Mom and beg Mom to wire me some money so I can catch the bus to get to parole on time so I didn't get violated. Okay, so first, irresponsible with money. Don't give Justin money. It means nothing to me. I will spend it. I didn't work hard for it. I didn't earn it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get to Ukiah, get parole set up. Wait a minute, I don't live here, don't know anybody here, never have. Oh, homeless shelter's over there. In prison, they will not allow me to live in a dorm situation because of my view on things, the way I deal with things.
So you can't be there either.
Oh, I can, I mean, but it's just out here, they don't recognize all that, you know what I mean? That's my problem, not theirs.
Yeah.
But,
That's it? Oh, okay. We're out of time, Justin.
I'm sorry.
Not at all. I really appreciate you coming in.
Maybe I can go back sometime.
Yeah, we're halfway through. I mean, there's a lot we didn't get. There's all kinds of.
Just got started.
Thanks. All right. I didn't even say goodbye. Dude, that was really.
That was an hour, really?
Yeah. Yeah, you did really well.
I tried not to get too long-winded. I have a way of... My mind,